What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome to one of the first FM16 videos here on my channel. Today, I'm going to be giving you guys a brief introduction to the new tactics screen for FM16. It's not too dissimilar to FM15, but there are some changes that I'd like to go through, give you kind of some of my thoughts on, and, you know, for you guys who have maybe not quite picked up the game yet, just show it off to you, kind of let you see what it's all about. So as you can see here, it's not too dissimilar from last year. However, there is kind of one big elephant in the room, and I guess we'll start with that, and it's the fact that there are no longer shirts down this right-hand side. Instead, we have these squares. Now, when I first saw these, like, previewed, I was a little bit worried they were going to look really big and clumsy, but I kind of like how they look. They've grown on me, let me put it that way. I feel like it makes sense in a lot of ways for them to be squares. It allows the information to be shown a lot more in terms of the player roles, the numbers, the duties below each player. So if we just look at each one of these squares just quickly, obviously you have the role and duty for your player. This is the same as last year, but you can just select a role and then you select your duty, depending on the role, of course, that you pick. You then have the player number, and then you have the role familiarity for the role of players playing in. So, for example, Igalo here, you can see he is accomplished advanced forward, and that is indicated by this circle thing here. Now, last year this was a donut. I want to try and get this known as lemon slices, like each segment is like a little bit of a lemon or an orange. So if we can make that a thing in the FM community, that would be cool. That's what they look like to me. So, for example, you'd have this guy who has 9 out of 10 slices. Let's make it a thing. It's not going to catch on, but there you go. Looking over on the left-hand side, not too much has changed here. Very similar. The only thing that has changed is this new kind of display for the match condition and match sharpness. Last year, I know a lot of people had issues with injuries in Football Manager. That was largely down to match fitness being low in a lot of players. And this was something, match fitness, that wasn't shown kind of in the forefront of people who played the game. People weren't that aware of it. So SI this year have now combined kind of the condition circle and the match sharpness circle. So the outer circle, the green one that you can see, is a player's condition, and that's at 96%. You can see match sharpness, on the other hand, is at 60% for this guy, so it's not too filled. If we just scroll down a little bit, there's Miguel Leon, who you can see here, who has 100% condition and 97% match sharpness. I kind of like this. Match sharpness is acquired by players playing matches back to back, and it's important to keep an eye on that because low match sharpness does increase the odds of injuries. So, yeah, just so you guys are aware of that. Moving elsewhere, you can kind of see not a lot has changed, I guess, that's immediately obvious. One cool thing is that there is now, and I believe this was in the game last year, but for people who don't know about it, if I just select a few random roles, but you now have the option basically to auto-assign roles and duties, and this will change players' roles to best suit how good they are. That's kind of nice, and again, same works for duties. I don't think anything changed there, but just so you guys are aware, that is a thing. Might be useful for you guys first picking up the game and kind of tactics, and of course, there is a load of default tactics. If we just create a new tactic here, there's a load of default tactics and formations for you guys first starting out with the game. So looking elsewhere, you'll notice that the tactic, mentality, team shape and team instructions is the same as last year, except it isn't. So let's talk about this. If we go, we have obviously the tactic tab that I've already discussed, but if we go to mentality, you can change this. We have some nice icons, not too different. Team shape, again, a few nice icons, but not too different. But here we go. Are you ready for this? Bam! Whoa. Okay, that was crazy. So team instructions this year, completely revamped. I love it. It looks so visual. It's the kind of change I've wanted to see for a really long time. I kind of missed the sliders of old for you FM veterans. So let's take a look at these. So as you can see, you basically change your defensive line by actually clicking, and you can see kind of what slightly higher means, like where your players will actually sit. I believe if we play like more attacking, as you can see here, deeper relative to attacking is very different. So for example, if we play contain and sit deeper, you can see we're sat right on the edge of our box. But if we're playing on attacking and we play deeper, we're going to be stood midway inside our own half. So that's kind of nice. You know, it allows you to kind of see how your team's going to play based off the instructions you give. You, of course, have the option to change your tempo. I don't believe there's any new options here, but it's just a case of kind of cleaning up the interface and making it a lot more visual than just having lines of buttons everywhere. You can also see for build-up, we can tell our players to play out of defence, then exploit the left flank or the right flank. You could tell them just to exploit the middle. You could have clear balls to flanks and exploit the flanks. It's nice. It's a little bit more intuitive, I think, than just clicking buttons. Additionally, you can see in an attacking third, you can obviously tell your fullbacks to look for overlaps. If you want to be more direct in your play, you can hit early crosses. You, of course, still have the options, stuff like mixing crosses, whipping them low, as I said, same as last year, but just kind of shown in a lot nicer way, particularly the more visual elements. So that's the team instructions, and the player instructions kind of follow a similar suit. So if we just go to a centre mid here and look at it, you can see that for every single role and duty, you have a very similar interface in terms of you can tell a player how you want him to play. So you can tell a player to close down more, play further forward, roam from position, go direct. If we look at a winger, for example, you can see we have Igalo here. Now, by default as a winger, he has get further forward and stay wider on. If we change to support, you can see now we have the option to turn on get further forward or not. So this is quite nice because it shows you kind of the instructions that a player is given with the position they're playing. So if we just put him as an inside forward, you'll now see that he cuts inside more. But we can still tell him as an inside forward to stay wider or get further forward. It's worth noting because he's on the left-hand side, stay wider is on the left, I believe. I'm hoping this is going to be the case. If we move him to the right, as you can see here, stay wider is now on the right, although he's now defaulted back to a winger. But you can kind of see that, and again, you have the cross instructions for each player. So I really like that screen, a lot more visual, really nice there. Kind of 10 out of 10, I guess, for that one, SI. Looking at set pieces, set piece takers stays the same. For corners and free kicks now, you have the ability to give different instructions. For example, this is when we are defending. You'll see that each player has a certain role. So, for example, our two centre-backs mark tool players. You can change a player's role just by clicking on them. And then changing their player instruction to zonally mark if you want to mark zonally. Maybe you want to do a bit of a hybrid of both. And basically you can tune this to suit your player's needs. I haven't gone into it in too much detail myself, so I don't want to kind of tell you this is how to do it. But I want to show it because it's a really nice screen. And again, for attacking corners, you can see these guys are set to stay back if needed. But then you also have your players kind of going forward. You've got a player attacking the near post. We can move a centre mid into the box and we could tell him to challenge the keeper and stand on him. So maybe if you're playing an opposition where their keeper's a little bit susceptible, maybe not great in the air, you know, stick a man on him. That's an option now. You'll also see that you have different routines you can do. You can create new routines. So now we're on a routine 2. You can just remove a routine like so. So you can set up loads of different scenarios and you have different options for left and right corners. Similar story for set free kicks. You can kind of see how it works. I think there's a little bit less kind of in the way of I guess flexibility here in terms of you can see more attacking players sit in the wall, but there are various options you can give. So maybe you don't want to play quite so many players in the box, or maybe quite so many players in the wall. Maybe you only want to have a maximum of 3 players in the wall. Probably asking for trouble there, but you can now do that this year in FM. For throw-ins, similar stuff again. If you've got a really talented long thrower, you might want to throw a few men forward, and you can set that for attacking only in this case. But again, multiple routines, really nice stuff. Again, penalties hasn't changed. Captains hasn't changed. Opponent instructions, not a screen I see too many people use, but it's here if you like to use it. So, for example, if you have a formation perhaps where you know you're a little bit weak out wide and you want to close down the wingers in every single game, you can make sure that that is always something you do, or you can always mark them tightly as I'm showing here. So that's quite nice. We also have an analysis, but I've not played any games, and to be honest, the analysis this year with all the Pro Zone integration is just a massive change, probably deserves its own video. So anyway, guys, that is a little introduction and a little kind of, I guess, walk around the new tactics screen. If you're wondering how I collapsed my sidebar, you go to your FM preferences and it's in interface and you can click sidebar icons only. I know someone's going to ask about that, so there you go. But anyway, hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. Let me know if there's any other screens you'd like me to talk through. Let me know what you make of the new tactics screen. Do you think it's a step forward? Will you be able to get used to the squares? I'm sure someone will end up making a shirt mod anyway of some kind. As I mentioned, if we could get the lemon slices catching on, that'd be fantastic. But that is going to wrap things up from you guys. If you have enjoyed, as I already said, smash the like button. If you're new here, subscribe. And other than that, it is me, Jack, and I'll talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.